Hello, welcome to another episode of Swapping Joysticks. I am your host, Biggest Ben, otherwise known as Ben, and joining me, as always, over there is Ed Nightingale. Say hello, Ed Nightingale.
All the way over here. Hello, Ed
Wow,
Nightingale.
all the way over there. How are you doing?
I'm better than I was.
Yeah, do you want to talk about your squirts? Ed has been squirting.
I've been erupting from both ends.
Front and
Not
back.
recently, but post TwitchCon.
Yeah, so it's been a while since we've had a podcast. We've been off the air for a little while, and
We were busy. We were away at
why.
TwitchCon, and we've been busy with that. And then one of us got sick, and the other one miraculously has been fine.
Yeah, it's almost like you've got a weak immune system.
Wow. Is this a skill issue? Is that what you're saying?
It is, yeah. Get good.
Get good at not getting sick.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just like because I'm northern, we used to go outside and stuff and have fun. So like, just I've been exposed to lots of bugs and bacteria and general stuff. So I'm just a strong person, whereas you just kind of stayed inside most of the time, didn't you?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why. That's why the second anything that's slightly alien to your body, it's like,
I spent my summers inside playing the guitar, doing homework, and playing video games.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was outside climbing stiles and going along riverbeds and
Rolling in hay.
rolling in
pigs.
hay. Yeah, climbing up hay bales, mounds of sugar beet, climbing to the top of that.
What different lives we have.
Yeah, my grandparents owned a farm, so we used to literally every weekend we'd go there and just get up to all sorts.
And my mum was adamant that I would be academic.
I mean, I was meant to be that. I'm not. It's like some kind of I don't know, me left from a right.
No, as in, but I was overly sat inside being bookish.
Yeah. Oh dear. And we're both in the video games industry somehow.
We both ended up here.
Yeah, with our hobbies as jobs, so that's decent.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's what you want. But yeah, so yeah, it has been a while since we've done a podcast, and we went all the way to Rotterdam for TwitchCon.
Was it Rotterdam or
Yeah.
anywhere?
No, it was Rotterdam. Definitely Rotterdam.
Liverpool?
No.
Rome?
No one's going to get that.
People will get that.
Beautiful
I
stuff.
had that song in my head the entire weekend.
Yeah, me too a bit.
It was really annoying.
It was good, but I was there. So I was there for TwitchCon. I was there for work, manning a stall. Lovely speaking to everybody that came by. It was just absolutely knackering because there were three of us. One of us was like doing business relations, so going and having meetings and stuff. So I wasn't there that much. So it was kind of like mainly two of us just manning the stall the entire time. And that is hard work from literally getting there about 8:30 in the morning and leaving at 7 o'clock at night. It's and you're on your feet pretty much the entire time, constantly talking. It is draining, and yeah, I just hope I'd hope next year if there's a way for me to. I'm sure I'll be attending with work, but it would be nice to just have a little less stress. But it was great to see so many people. I always love TwitchCon, but I'm also kind of wanting to go as a fan next time instead of a punter, instead of a person working there.
And you got off to a good start, didn't it?
It did. What, the night before?
No, I meant the first person who arrived on your stall.
Oh God, yes. I haven't explained this to everybody, but we opened up our stall on the Saturday morning, and this very muscular German guy came past in a football shirt. He was like, "Oh, what is this?" And then we explained it to him, and then he went, and then we went up to talk a bit more to him, and he's like, "Oh, don't come closer. I've just farted." And I'm like, "Sorry, what?" He's like, "Oh, it's bad. Sorry." And then one of us was behind the desk and just like, "Oh!" And yeah, I could smell it. It was fucking awful. And then he walked off. And I was like, "Oh, well," to the two people that were with my colleagues, I was like, "This isn't normally what TwitchCon's like. They're, yeah."
I've just thought, was he the biohazard
Who's
who
going
then
around
vommed?
spreading everything.
Maybe it was him.
So what happened? Tell us about the biohazard.
The TwitchCon biohazard, not Resident Evil. TwitchCon. Well, I was fine all weekend until Sunday night.
Oh yeah.
And we went out for some Korean food with DC and Wibble.
Yeah.
Had a lovely evening. Very
Mr.
pleasant.
Beardstone. Well, we saw Mr.
Yeah,
Beardstone afterwards.
We did afterwards. Yeah, and I was feeling a bit full afterwards, but just from like a big meal.
Hmm.
And we went to bed.
You had a filling.
I certainly
A
didn't.
good filling from the Korean food.
From the food, yes. And yeah, sort of lay down in bed. I was like, well, I'm feeling a bit full, but I think I'll be all right. Just need to sleep this off. Drifted off a bit, and then woke up and was like, oh, I could really do with some water. So I went to the bathroom and had a sip of water before this wave of nausea just hit me, and I dropped to my knees, threw the toilet lid open.
And got rid of Korean food.
I did get rid of the Korean food. Well, it was a small amount at first, and then I was like, I'll wait for a little while. I feel like there's more. And then my face fully erupted to the point
Lovely.
where, like, it's just coming out of every hole in your face, and you can't breathe.
Yeah, I could hear.
Well, could you hear though, Ben?
I woke up for a few seconds and was like, oh,
Yeah.
someone's
And
had a
then you
bit too much for food.
And then you were snoring whilst I was vomiting in the room next door.
it kind of it cut out the noise. As somebody who's completely like has a phobia of sick, which is what you have,
I mean, yeah, I
you'd be the
didn't.
same.
Yeah. Oh, I would have. Yeah, I would have been nowhere near you.
You'd
Probably
have
with a pillow over my head.
Yeah,
and
exactly,
music
yeah.
playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead, I was there with my eyes closed and one hand on the flush, so I couldn't see anything, and it was just going immediately. Anyway, I was there for quite a while. Woke up a couple more times in the night. Wasn't sick again, but just was wary of it. And then in the morning, I was like, "Oh, that wasn't good. I'll go for a sit down. My usual morning sit down. My ass cheeks had barely touched the toilet seat before the ass piss was exploding out of me.
Yeah, lovely.
So that was nice.
Someone turned on the tap. Oh,
I was the tap.
apologies if anybody's like eating their breakfast listening to this or something.
Listen, this was my TwitchCon experience. So yeah, that was nice. The thing is, the worst thing about being ill when you're abroad is that by this point, I'm like, right, I just need to sleep and I just want my own bed. And instead, we had to check out of our hotel.
Yeah, checking out of the hotel when you're sick with norovirus is...
Yeah, I mean, this
I
is the
imagine for you
thing.
it's
So,
very
like,
bad.
during it, I was thinking, this must be like food poisoning. Like, what's happened? Why am I sick? This is weird. And then over the course of the day, we just saw more and more people on Twitter saying, I was at TwitchCon and I got food poisoning. I got food poisoning. I got food poisoning.
So it's not food poisoning.
But like, we were all eating in different places. We all stayed at different hotels. The only commonality is TwitchCon.
Yeah.
So it must have been something that went round. And somehow some people got it and some people didn't. But yeah, we went for a little wander. We went to see the butt plug gnome.
Yeah, you could have done with one of those.
I could have done. That's what my mum said.
Did she? Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I sent her a picture and said, we saw the butt plug gnome. She was like, oh, you could do with that. I was like, wow, thanks, mum. And then she said, don't worry, I know what it's really for. And I was like, I really don't want to know that, mum.
Oh, she knows. She knows. I wonder if you've ever spoken to her while one's been in.
Ben.
I don't know.
No.
No.
Of course not.
Is it something that people keep in?
Well, some people might do that.
I don't know. I've never.
The last thing I'd want to do is have a conversation with
Anyway.
that and me.
Your dad sometimes listens to this, doesn't he?
I don't know about that. Anyway, you then dragged me to a McDonald's because you wanted food and the smell was not enticing.
Yeah, well, I was like, oh, I'll just get something really quick so that, it's, we'll sit outside. I'll quickly grab something because I was hungry for lunch and then we'll be on our way. But then we sat outside and it was a bit gross, wasn't it? I couldn't sit down because the bench outside had something stained on the seat.
It was bird poo.
Yeah, so I wasn't sitting on bird poo. So we went inside and just quickly ate and then left. But I had my very Dutch, I had these triangles of cheese, which weren't that nice. But I did have a stroopwafel McFlurry.
I'm really jealous of that.
It was all right. It was very nice, actually, because they had a good a lot of caramel sauce in it. Nice. Also, that random raspberry ice drink that apparently is popular in the Netherlands. I don't know what it was, that pink thing with loads of ice.
All I was drinking was the electrolyte drink that Mr. Wibble advised me to get from, it did look like piss, from the local pharmacy. So shout out to Mr. Wibble for his help.
Yeah.
And yeah, then I fell asleep on a park bench, so we went back to the hotel.
Did you fall asleep on the park bench?
I was fully falling asleep.
Oh, okay.
We just went for a sit down because I was like, I'm a bit tired. And we had to move because someone was smoking weed nearby. And I literally was just sat looking at the pigeons and just nodded off.
Yeah.
So we went back to the hotel.
Yes, and then just wait until we go back. But yeah, my colleague, unfortunately, she was really, really sick and was actually like ill on the Eurostar going back as well. I
Yeah,
cannot imagine that.
I moved our seats so that we were sat together next to the toilet. So if there was an incident, and luckily I was okay, but your colleague less so.
Yeah, unfortunate, very
Yeah.
unfortunate. But I'm fine, so that's fine.
But she did say a couple of days ago since that apparently, and she'd forgotten to tell us this, which was quite important information, I feel, was that literally 10 a.m. on the Saturday, first day of TwitchCon, someone walked in and threw up all over the show floor outside the loot cave, which is where everybody goes to buy their loot.
Yeah,
So clearly that person was the biohazard.
just spread it out and
just
everybody walked through
spread
it.
it.
Yeah.
Because like most people, if you're going to be sick, you do it in a toilet and then you're fine. But no, let's just do it all over the show floor. Thanks for that. Ruined my week and a half afterwards.
Yeah. Oh well.
Anyway, I'm all right now. I'll be honest, I have not really felt myself since.
You have.
Funny. Like I still have felt a bit off. And I think partly that's me being a bit overly cautious about eating. Because obviously you have a virus, you starve yourself.
Yeah.
And then I've eaten very plain, simple, beige food. And I think I've been a bit maybe overly cautious about not eating very much. So now I feel like my energy level has just completely dipped. But we don't have too much planned. And
No.
I'm going to just have a nice sleep this weekend. And hopefully that'll help.
That's good, because the night before we went to TwitchCon, we went to a concert.
We did. Well, it was your birthday.
Happy
Birthday.
Thank you very much. Very late, but yeah. God, it's been like 2 weeks since we did the podcast. I think
It
it
has,
is.
yeah.
But yeah, we went to see Troye Sivan.
Yep.
At the Wembley.
Mm-hmm. At the Wembley.
The Wembley. I was going to say
Wembley
the O2.
Arena.
Yeah, not actual Wembley. He was really, really good. I thought he was fantastic, and one of the really good concerts. One of the highlights. One of the top concerts I've been to. He was just full of energy. The music was really good, and then you squealed like a pig being roasted.
Wow.
Because.
Well,
the first person they brought out, I think you were squealing just as much.
Not as much. It took me a moment to realize who he was, and I've also now forgotten his name. Ross Lynch.
Okay.
Who I know from Sabrina.
I have no idea who he was. They were all screaming. I was like, I have no idea who that is.
Well, so Troye Sivan has his song "One of Your Girls," where he's in drag for the video, and he wasn't in drag on stage, but was in a corset. And he gave Ross Lynch a lap dance, and Ross Lynch took his top off, and it was all very pleasant.
Even from where we were.
Yeah, we were quite a way back, but it was great. And then just before the encore, he sang 1999, and then the lights went down, and he brought out Charlie XCX, which obviously they sing together on the track, but I don't think anyone was expecting her to actually be there. And let's be real, it's a Brat summer, and Charlie XCX's album is the album everybody's listening to. It's called Brat, Ben.
Is that the green thing?
Yes.
Okay.
It's called Brat. Everyone's listening to it.
Any songs
including
from it
you? I'd sing it, but you wouldn't know. Anyway, so she's obviously big, promoting that at the moment. And then just everybody in the audience lost their shit. You included.
Oh, I was
as
like,
well as me.
someone's famous. I know her. I've heard of her.
Yeah.
But it was literally like 10 seconds of every single person screaming at the top of their voice. Like my ears were just ringing.
Yeah.
I'm like, when it's just so loud that your brain can't compute any louder than what it is.
Yeah.
It was just like that for like a good 10 seconds.
And then the rest of the song was just everyone jumping for the entire thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to It's like completely going off, which was like, I've only been at a couple of gigs where that's happened, and just collectively everybody loses their shit at once. Like,
what was the other one that happened?
Well,
Ed Sheeran?
Are you asking because you know already? Or?
No, I don't know.
Oh, one of them was Muse, which I saw them in Birmingham, but it was after oh God, what's the album? The one with Time Is Running Out on it.
No, Hullabaloo.
No. Is it Absolution? I think it might have been Absolution. Anyway, they played Plug-in Baby, and everyone just was jumping at the same time and just losing it, which was fucking awesome.
Why is that coming out? I thought you said someone famous was coming out.
No. It was just like everyone just lost their shit at the song all at once, and everyone's jumping. When like the whole crowd are just jumping as one. And it's like, if you stand there, you're going to get hit. So you have
Yeah.
to just jump with everyone. Like, it was that. And the Choice Man thing was similar. Like, everyone was just jumping and
Yeah.
going wild. It was amazing.
It was very, very good. And I had a few drinks, so it was great.
Yeah, that helped you.
Definitely does. And yeah, then, I mean, after TwitchCon, we had another concert.
We did.
For my birthday, we went to see Anoni, who formerly Anthony the Johnsons, now Anoni and the Johnsons. And for me, it was just perfect. It was a good civilized concert where everybody was sat down. You all
At the Barbican.
You sat down at the Barbican. We were on the second row.
Basically a theatre. So
It was like a theatre. Yeah, second row. I'd not drunk a lot and had a pee as well. So I was like, okay, I'm good for this 2.5 hour show. Because it was like 2 hours, just over 2 hours, the show. And yeah, Anoni sang all her a lot of her modern stuff, a lot of her old stuff as well. And yeah, if you don't know Anoni, it's Anohni. Go and check her out. She's just, it's my favorite artist ever. You'll see if you look at my Twitch panels, I'm not lying. It genuinely is there as my favorite. I am just, every single song is just perfect for me. And you enjoyed her new stuff, didn't you?
yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like I sort of knew her as Anthony the Johnsons sort of years ago, like the odd song, but haven't listened to a lot of the albums like you have. And then was like, what is this? I need to listen to it immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. Really good.
I'm glad you enjoyed it as well.
Mm.
She's quite an enigma.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
I didn't realize she was in her 50s.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus.
She's been around. And like great stories of like New York in the 80s. And
Oh, yeah.
stuff
She
like that.
doesn't have a script.
No, she doesn't hold back either.
She does not hold back in the slightest. And if she's going to like ramble for 10 minutes, she will ramble for 10 minutes.
Mhm.
And you don't really know where it is. And sometimes it's really depressing stuff. And sometimes it meanders off into somewhere and you don't know where it's going. And it's like, you're getting kind of a unique experience.
Yeah.
And there was nudity. I forgot we didn't talk about that. On the thing behind, there was that person.
yeah, there was like videos behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like the old lady
Yeah.
just fully nude.
I think she might have been a trans woman.
I think so too, because I mean, it's befitting, but also
Yeah.
I think the song might have been about that.
Yes.
I mean, you know more than me.
I don't know, but I mean, yeah. She was totally naked.
She was.
Yeah. But anyway, that was like, it's because it was art. Like, nobody in there was like, oh my God. They were all just like,
Oh, of course not. It's
just
artistic.
embracing the
It's something to. It was something to focus on. Just right there.
Yeah, she had perfectly round boobs.
Yeah.
Perfectly round.
Mm.
Anyway, if you can go and see Anoni at some point, she'll be doing another tour, I hope, in a few years. Go and see her, because the first time I ever saw her was at the Barbican back in 2017. So, and there's me just a couple of years later. No, 2017, sorry, 2007.
Oh, okay.
2007. So, yeah, 17 years later or whatever it was, I have returned and seen her. And I was a lot closer this time.
Good.
But it was phenomenal. Anyway, we do a video game podcast, don't we?
We do. Well, we started with TwitchCon at least.
Which isn't games always.
No, it's not. They talked a lot about sort of non-gaming stuff. Like I feel like they're pushing that.
I mean, they've always kind of been like that, but it is the creator economy and everything.
Yeah. Well, they've got their new like DJ thing, and they've got these communities, which they're starting.
Guilds?
No, not
Community-
guilds.
I don't know. I didn't see it because I was too busy working, so I didn't even see the keynote speech.
I was at the opening ceremony.
Mm.
And
What was it like being? Oh, we haven't spoken about our hotel.
you mean my hotel? We
Go
probably
on.
shouldn't show off about that.
Well, Ed got a very fancy hotel.
Yeah.
Do you want to say what was inside it?
A sauna.
It had a literal sauna inside the bathroom, so you could have a massive shit and then steam out the inside and the outside of the sauna.
Wow.
And the world's deepest bath that had 2 headrests. I could sit in that bath up to like my shoulders with my legs spread out. I don't think I've ever sat in a bath like that. Ever.
Right, I found my article.
Good.
So yeah, the opening ceremony, they did announce like a few different things. So the revised Twitch mobile app.
It better come soon because I hate this new one.
It's
Every
coming
time I
in the summer.
Every time I load it up, it just starts playing something, and I've turned that off. But it's still just annoying. Just really annoying. Like if I click on it now, boom, straight away. Here's a live of Owen's Juice, who was actually at TwitchCon,
Mhm.
but along with another person I think I spoke to,
So
Crowfang.
some of the stats they said, so 70% of new viewers start watching Twitch on mobile.
Okay.
So I think a lot
So they
of
need to make a decent app then.
I think people who have been on Twitch for a while are probably used to desktop, but people who are like, oh, what's Twitch? I'll look it up, will immediately go to the mobile app. 50% of all users are primarily using the mobile app, while 40% are exclusively on the mobile app. So clearly mobile is a big deal. The discovery feed is the main landing page of the mobile app. So they're really pushing that, basically. So yeah, that is coming in the summer, which is nice. The other things that they announced, so creator clubs is what I meant, which is basically a way of assisting creators to find communities of like-minded streamers. So it's a bit like the guilds, but it's more around types of streams rather than like types of people.
Cozy and chaotic.
I'm sure that'll be one. So there are two they're starting. The first is DJs, and the other one is IRL streamers. So two non-gaming things.
Interesting.
But I think it's because like if you play a game and you're you're a regular Souls player, you probably know other Souls players. But if you're a DJ, I mean, surely you just look up the music tag. But there are people that don't know each other as well. So there are going to be these communities around them, Discord groups, that sort of thing. And there are a few other things. Actually, one really cool thing, they are optimizing the creation of clips with an automatic portrait view.
I like it.
So if you're creating a clip on mobile, it will automatically create portrait so that you can then share that on stories, on Instagram, on TikTok, whatever you want, which is pretty cool. So
nice.
They were sort of the main things that they announced at the opening ceremony.
Well, I missed all of that.
Yep, you were busy.
But anyway, let's talk about games that we've been playing then.
Sure.
So, what have you been playing? You have finished, finally, the DLC of Elden Ring.
I have. So last time, in the last podcast, I had played a good chunk of it, because I'd luckily played it a bit before launch. But yeah, I was playing it on and off, not completely solidly. Otherwise, I probably would have finished it a little sooner. But now I finished all of it, so I can sort of give you my final verdict. If
Out of 10?
That's a very good question. Out of 10, I feel like it's maybe a borderline 9.
Ooh, okay. You can give 9s. You don't have to stick to 8s and below.
No, I know. I think like I really enjoyed it.
So you're not giving it a 10?
And hang on.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. I think it makes some improvements over the base game in certain areas, and I really like a lot of the additions to it, but I do think it's flawed. So I'll get to that in a sec. Visually, I think it's better than the original.
Oh.
I think the areas are more distinct. They're more colourful. I think because it's this sort of dreamlike realm, it allows them to be a little bit more creative, maybe. But what I really love is just how every area is framed. So, you know, like we talk about the Breath of the Wild moment where you come out of the sort of, whatever they call it, the start of Breath of the Wild, where you...
Yeah, the
sort of shrine area.
resurrection.
Yeah. Yes, that's the one. You come out of that, and then it's like the camera pans out and shows you the world, and it's like, whoa, here's this beautiful, colourful world. Elden Ring sort of copies that. So when you come out of that first catacomb, and then you look out over the world, it sort of gives you that view. I feel like this does that, but every single time you enter a new area. And it's just framed so beautifully. And
they need a photo mode. Why
they
do
really
they not
do.
have a photo mode?
They really do.
Make my thumbnails on YouTube so much easier.
Yeah. And I mean, I won't say too much about later areas, but that first area is this almost sort of autumnal post-apocalypse of all these graves everywhere, and it's really ghostly and slightly sort of grainy visuals, I think, but just makes it look really like it's a Renaissance painting. Like it's stunning. So I really love the visuals. I think the world design is mostly better. Sometimes it's a bit too confusing, but it feels more vertical and more layered, and things like the base game is very sprawling, and you're like, oh, I just need to go east to get to the east area. Whereas in Shadow of the Erdtree, it might be there's a big chunk to the south, but then to get there, you need to go west and through a little hole and fall down a thing and then through a tunnel, and then eventually you emerge into an entire new area. So you can really stumble down a hole to find something massive, which is a really cool sort of feeling of discovery, at least. But the main thing is that they've really blurred the boundary between the dungeons and the field. So, as you'll know from playing it, something like Stormvale Castle is this big legacy dungeon that they call, but it's kind of just plonked on the world.
Yeah.
So you enter it and then you exit it, and then that's kind of it. Whereas now, there's a huge castle in the second area, which in itself is massive, but there are loads of different exits and entrances, and the way that it leads up to it from the field design, like it's sort of blurring that boundary, and it feels like it's more integrated into the world. It's not just here's a dungeon plonked in the middle of the field, and the field itself feels more like a puzzle to sort of explore. So I really, really like that. I think there's some really cool moves and new weapons as well. I really like the kung fu kind of, it's called dry leaf arts, but you basically punch and kick everyone like a sort of pugilist monk, which is very cool. I just started punching dragons in the face. Love it.
Yes, I saw you doing that.
That became my kind of standard thing. It's got a really cool Ash of War where he like flips in the air and kicks, and you do multiple hits at once.
That sounds like Monster Hunter.
Kind of, yeah.
Twin blades. That's what I used to use.
Yeah, and then I added bleed damage to that, and then my arcane was so ridiculously high that I just do shit tons of bleed damage against everything, and it just feels great. So yeah, that was also really cool. So I think there's a lot of really, really good stuff in it, and it's more Elden Ring. Like you literally cannot go wrong with that. I do think it's flawed, and I talked a little bit about this last time, so I won't go on too much. But I think my problem with it is progression, character progression. Now everyone's been talking about how difficult it is, and yes, it is difficult. Personally, I like the difficulty because that's sort of what I expect from Elden Ring. And I expect to hit a wall with a boss, and I expect to have to try it again and again. And some of them really weren't hard. Like the first couple, I beat first time and didn't really have a problem. Now, I will caveat that by saying that yes, I've used NPC summons, and yes, I have used spirit summons, because that's how I like to play. So
You do it.
Suck it.
You play however you want to.
And I will.
Because, I don't agree with anybody that says it. Because, I'm not going to talk really about Elden Ring, that what I play, but I just did. What was that boss that I beat today?
Godric.
No, I've beaten Godric.
Morgott.
Morgott. So I beat Morgott, and it was like, oh, you can summon somebody outside. So I did. And that person really did help, and it was an easy boss for me. But it added to like the story, and I enjoyed.
It's a story NPC, so
If you've got a story
there's a
NPC,
reason for them being there.
Yeah, maybe like the second time you do a playthrough, play it however you want. If you want to give yourself some like stricter rules on how to play it, I understand that. But like the first time round, I'm going to use all the story. I want to know the story.
Yeah.
I want people to help me. And she was doing some really cool moves that I would never see. I would never be able to do myself. So it was it was visually very pretty as well. She like made a tree, I think, or something, and it was shooting out. Or
Yeah,
it was cool.
There are NPC summons in the DLC that really add to the story.
Yeah.
So I won't say any specifics because I don't want to spoil anything. But there is a particular boss that has an NPC that's become a bit of a meme because of the performance by the actor who plays that NPC.
Do you know who
and the
it
way
is?
that they
Is it
help
a famous person?
They were interviewed, or he was interviewed by IGN, which went up a couple of days ago. And he was in, I believe, Silent Witness. He's like a British TV actor.
Oh.
And he comes in and does this very grand, shouty performance, which if you've done it, you know what I'm talking about. And that's become very iconic. And then the final boss, I had an NPC summoned. I was like, well, I want to summon him in because I want the story of that. And someone said to me, oh, no, it's more difficult if you do that. And I'm like, well, I want that story, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is tricky, definitely. And obviously difficulty is subjective, as we always say. So for some people, maybe it will be too difficult. Some people are going to find it too easy. You've got living Miss Mika playing it on a dance pad.
Yeah.
That's wild, and she's incredible for doing that. So yes, it's hard. I think for me, the reason it's hard is not just a sort of skill thing, but it's a progression thing. So it has this new progression system called Shadow Tree Fragments, and it's shadow tree, not scadu tree, because it's like an old
Skidoo tree.
skidoo tree. It's like an old way of saying shadow, basically. So you collect these fragments around the world, and once you get a certain number, you can then level up your stats, so your attack and your defense. And it feels a little bit like shrines in Zelda, the way that, oh, I need 4 of these and then I can level up my health or whatever. It feels a little bit like that. And because this is like endgame stuff, it takes hundreds of thousands of runes to level up once, to add one stat to your strength that does nothing. Like, it's pointless almost. And so these fragments are the main way of progressing. And loads of people didn't really understand that and were not using them. And you're like, no, that's necessary.
It does tell you at the beginning, doesn't it?
It really does. It's very obvious, but you need to use them. And so increasing your shadow blessing level using these fragments is integral to being strong enough. But it means, therefore, that your progression is tied to how many of those fragments you have. And at the beginning, they're relatively freely found, but there's a finite number because there's a set number of levels you can get to. So the maximum shadow blessing level is 20. And I got to the final boss and was 18 and was really struggling.
Oh, tell me about it.
Really struggling on the final boss. But at that point, I was like, well, where do I go to find more fragments? Because I'd been everywhere. I felt like I'd seen everything. But there's nothing in game to explain to you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's X number in this area, or you've collected this number, because I didn't know how many
You
I'd
need
got.
a Sheikah slate that beeps.
You've stolen my ideas already. But this is what I wanted. I've got an article coming up on Eurogamer about this, so this will be a thing. But you've read my mind, Ben. What it needed for me was the Sheikah slate.
No, I heard you talking to yourself earlier when you were reading it out.
I was. What it needed was the Sheikah slate and the hero's path. Because what I wanted to do was look around the map and be like, right, where have I been? Where haven't I been? To try and work out, well, where might the remaining blessings be? But there's nothing in game. So unless you just aimlessly wander around or use a guide, there's no way of finding them. So I ended up, I think I worked out mathematically, I was 1 fragment away from getting to level 19. So I thought, fuck it, I'll use a guide to find the nearest one. Quickly found one, leveled up, and then did the final boss at 19. I think most people are looking to do it at 20 because you kind of want to be max level for it, because it is really tricky. I also used a bit of a, I don't want to say cheese, but just a different tactic for the final boss, which made it a lot easier and more manageable.
Did I see you do it?
You didn't. I mean, what I'll say is I was using a shield to block rather than dodging.
That's part of the game.
I mean, it is part of the game. It's totally fine.
Is there? Oh no, I did see that shield, the attacking shield.
Yeah, there's a bit of a thing.
Yeah. Let's hope they don't nerf it before I get to it.
Hopefully not. So that's my flaw with it, basically, is that because it ties everything to these fragments, for me, unless you are collecting all those fragments, like, you're going to find it difficult. And so it just forces you to explore and find as many fragments as you can, but without necessarily giving you the tools to do that, which I personally just found a bit frustrating at like the final moments of it. And I think as well, because it's end game of the main game, everything you do still has to tie back to the base game, because you can come at it at any point. So that's why collecting runes and leveling up doesn't really do a lot. Or, you collect loads of new gear, but most of the armor is no better than what you can already find. So it's just like, it's giving you something different to try, but it's not better.
Yeah.
And it just made me feel like I really wish this was a standalone game rather than it having to relate and integrate back to the main game. I'm like, I just kind of wish this was a sequel on its own.
Yeah, or like a mini sequel, like Miles Morales.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That would have been really cool. So yeah, for me, it therefore felt a little bit flawed.
Because I think some people do enjoy like restarting a Souls game. So having a brand new one where, yes, you have to start again, but it's really difficult, and you're forced to start a brand new character and there's nothing you're carrying over, then yeah, maybe that would be.
I mean, that's the other thing. Like, there are new quest lines and choices you can make and things like that in the DLC. But once you've finished it, the only way to do it again is to start a new game of the entire game to then kill the necessary bosses to then access the DLC again. So it's kind of like, I just wish it was its own thing to just access it on its own.
Yeah.
but what they've done with it is brilliant, and it really makes me excited for whatever they do next. But I fear that's going to be a good 5, 6, 7 years away for them, because now they've got to try and top Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And I think they will probably do another, or surely they'll do another kind of open world style. Maybe it's not called Elden Ring. Maybe it's a different world and style. I'd love it if they just went like sci-fi. And I don't mean Armored Core. I mean like sci-fi
Not the
Souls.
Surge 2.
No.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's my kind of final thoughts on Elden Ring. I've loved it. I do feel like I'm ready to play something else now.
And you played a bit of Balatro.
I have. I have played a couple of little bits, which, I mean, I'll let you speak in a sec. But yeah, Balatro, played a bit of that, which is just really fun on the Steam Deck while we're like watching TV, and you've sort of got that in the background, and you just tap it away, playing some cards, and then suddenly I've played like 10 games, and I don't know where the time's gone. It's very fun.
In fact, when I'm editing this and rendering the video and everything, I might end up just playing some, because it's such a fun game to play, and it's just really addictive. It teaches you a little bit about poker. The more you play it, I'm sure the more. I think some of the hands that they have are not real ones in poker, but
I guess depending on the jokers that you get, because you get jokers that affect.
No, I mean, like
hands.
if you're actually playing poker, like 4 of a kind, 2 of a kinds, and I think the name, because there's all different types of. So when you've got a hand of cards, and then you play certain cards to get as many points as possible, and enough points to get to the next kind of mission. However, those types that you can, when you put your cards down, the things that you're trying to check off, like the 2 of a kind, pairs, 4s, whatever they are, flush, straights, and all this, straights.
Royal flush.
I think some of those are not in real poker.
No, I think they are.
I feel like someone told me that not all of them are.
Oh.
So, but if they are, then great.
I don't know. I'm useless at poker.
I've never played poker in my life.
I haven't, but I needed a list next to me of like all the different things, so I could be like, right, what have I got, and check all the cards off.
Did you end up naked?
It wasn't strip poker, no.
Okay.
And it wasn't real money either. So, yeah, only a couple of times I've done that. But yeah, so Balatro is a lot of fun.
Strip Balatro.
Wow. I think like sometimes you can do loads of runs in one go, and suddenly hours have gone by. But also, I feel like now that I've started to get to grips with it, I'm not like jumping to go back to it. But it's a nice sort of diversion, and I think for that reason, what I really want from it is a mobile version, because I think tapping away on a phone and playing it whilst you're on the train or something would be great. Everyone will miss their stops because they'll be absorbed. But for me, it's a really good sort of distracting phone game.
It is. The thing is that I've got to like the penultimate Dan, is it called, or something like that? Or what's the name of the... No, that's to do with karate. What's the...
Blind?
No. It's called... It's something... You're like the 8th blah. What's it called?
Blind.
8th blind? I thought the blind is just what you're playing.
No. Well...
I don't think it is.
There's 3 blinds in a round.
Yeah, and then... But there are 8 rounds.
Oh, I don't think I realised there were 8.
8.
Okay.
Yeah, it says like 5 out of 8. Balatro, if I type in Balatro 8, it comes up with, there's a thing called 8 ball. Ante.
Oh, yeah, up
8
the ante.
antes. Yeah, so you get 8
up the ante.
Up the ante. So I went and, I got to like the end of the 7th, and then I got like an impossible final blind. Because it was something like all the cards are invisible or like are turned over, and it's impossible for me to do it. Yeah. But yeah, sometimes you get completely screwed. But now I must have done about 20 games, and now I'm like, okay, I kind of get it, and I like starting with this one with the money, and then I go and unlock all the moons and the various other cards that you can buy between each round, and then I had a little bit of a tactic. So when you have a tactic in your head, and you don't do very well, it just is like, oh, fuck's sake. Whereas I think at the beginning of Balatro, you're kind of just going through, seeing how far you can go and just enjoying it. Whereas when you get a little bit more involved in it and you're planning a bit more, it ups the ante a bit, and it makes you a little bit annoyed if you don't progress to where you think you can get to with that, or you don't get the jokers, which give you kind of special bonuses that you want. So... And then sometimes you get them all the right ones at the same time, and it's brilliant. And then you don't win. You're just like, oh, what am I meant to do now? Then?
I was just gonna say that, like, I think the last round I did, I managed to get it so that literally every Joker and every hand I got and all the cards in terms of level up were all based around 2 pairs.
Yeah, 2 pairs is a good
which
one.
isn't like the top scoring one, but because I had so many Jokers based purely on adding multipliers for 2 pairs, every single time I was like, yep, 2 pairs, go, and we'd just do it in 1 round and win.
Yeah.
And once you sort of work out that kind of move set or like you know your set of cards, it becomes very satisfying to be like, right, I feel like I've cracked it now, which is cool.
And then you get onto the final one, and it says, "Oh, you need to get 30,000 points, but you can only play 1 hand." And you're like, well, great, I can't.
Yeah.
So, but I think there are ways where you can replace the final one, but I forgot how to, and I don't know exactly when. I just need to keep playing it a bit more.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a lot of fun.
It is.
I also finished Stellar Blade because at the weekend Final Fantasy XIV was down. So I wanted something else to play and thought, I'll finish Stellar Blade because I haven't finished it. I genuinely found that more difficult than Shadow of the Erdtree. And people are talking about how difficult that was. And the last couple of bosses on Stellar Blade had me absolutely infuriated. Now,
there's an easy mode.
Well, there is, and I did use that for the final boss eventually.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
And even then, I still died a few times.
Easy.
But it's just funny. It's the kind of like annoying difficulty spike where it needs to be perfect. And this is the thing about Elden Ring, is that no matter how difficult it is, it's always fair. Like, if you're losing, it's because you dodged at the wrong time, or you didn't learn the move set, or you tried to attack at the wrong point or something. So you know that the game isn't unfair.
Yeah.
Some people will say that it is, but like it's
losers will say that.
Exactly. Like it's always your fault, and you always know how to improve. But it also gives you the tools to be able to improve. So, okay, maybe you're struggling with what you've got, but maybe you go and level up a different weapon and try a different build, and that works, and that's great. But something like Stellar Blade, you can't really do that. It doesn't have builds. You don't really level up in the same way. So all you can do is just keep trying and just learn the moveset. And the last couple of bosses require you to just be so absolutely perfect with your parrying rhythm that I was like, this is just boring, and I'm annoyed. And the game as a whole, like, there is nothing to it except combat. And combat is mostly really well done in it, but the story's terrible, the characters are terrible. It attempts to give you the odd puzzle, but it's really contrived. And it goes on for a good 30 odd hours. And I'm like, this should have been 15 max. And just give me a really short but really tight combat experience. That would have been great with a nice story.
Did you finish Lies of P? You did, yeah.
Oh,
Was Lies of P better?
Oh, 10 times. It was also just as long, but it was 10 times better. So yeah, Stellar Blade, I'm glad I played it. I do think it's got good combat, but it's very much a kind of 7 out of 10 game. And if you're not into combat in games, there is nothing in there for you.
But Jiggly
unless
Lady,
you want to laugh at boobs.
Yeah, I feel...
I did put a very slutty outfit on her.
Good. And you got to play you got to play against a hot topless guy, didn't you?
Yeah, you meet a hot topless man at the end. And stuff happens. But I won't say because, it spoils the ending. So I finished that. I've also, just to finish off, played a little bit of 14, but I haven't yet gone to Dawntrail.
No. I've played the beginning of Dawntrail. It's very slow at the moment. I'm only like 3 hours in. I haven't had any battles yet. It's been very lore and story heavy, but that's what I'm fine with. I don't mind it if it's something exciting and it's gone. I did a mission that took me to the brand new place where Dawntrail is and wandered around a little bit. It stutters a little bit on PlayStation, I've got to say. It definitely chugged slightly. Don't know if that was a server thing, but I think it was more of a hardware thing. And then headed to like a small village nearby and literally just got there. So it is, it's great. So far I'm really enjoying it, but at the moment I've not done any dungeons. I haven't even had any combat or whatsoever. It's just been go to one place to another. And I'm interested to see where the story goes and what becomes of it, because people have been racing through it. I don't want to. I never like racing through an expansion. I usually kind of finish the expansion, usually like a matter of weeks before the next one comes out. But I'm going to try not to, because there was a lot of spoilers that I had to dodge the last 6 months with people talking about it. But no, it's very beautiful, obviously, and
Yeah.
the new graphics
I
update.
was going to say, what do you think of the graphics?
I can't tell the difference, but I think
Oh,
that's just
come on.
me. No, that's just me. I'm like,
We literally zoomed in on your character and we're looking at how nice the armor looks.
yeah, the armor definitely has improved. Yeah, you can see, like, compared to what it was before, it's definitely improved. But everything else, like, I don't really notice that much difference. I'm sure it is great. I'm sure if someone put it side by side, I'd be like, oh yeah, but the new area is a new area, so I've got nothing to compare it to.
I think that's the thing. Like, once they've done the full update on the old game, and you go back and look at that, you can make that comparison. I think that's also a testament to what they wanted to do anyway, which is
Don't want to disrupt the feel of the game.
yeah, and it has an art style, and you don't want to completely change the graphics to change the art style. So I feel like they've done quite a nice, subtle job of it.
Yeah, no, they didn't. It's definitely subtle, but it's still. I mean, it's a beautiful area where I'm going, and yeah, just interested to see where it goes. Apparently, I saw on Twitter that it's gone woke.
Oh, of course.
Because it's a popular game, and that's how certain grifters get the money by raging people, because they look at what's popular and they say, oh, lots of people are loving this, therefore we must need to find an angle to attack it. And the main character is voiced by a trans woman, so therefore that means that it was obviously a diversity hire, and therefore there's no this person wasn't hired on their talents, of course.
I mean, these are idiots who don't understand the audience of Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, it was quite amazing, like going like Final Fantasy 14 has gone woke, and everyone's like,
it's always been.
yeah, like yes, it is, and it has been ever since. It's probably the most accepting and most inclusive MMO out there. I'm sure there's a minor one that might be, but like that is the purpose. It's kind of like the anti-WoW. WoW is where people go that maybe don't like being surrounded by women and gays in 14. It's it made me laugh, but I'm like, well, they got all their clicks that they wanted. That's all that matters. They don't give a damn. They're not there creating art, or they're not there trying to prove a point. All they care about are advertising, like the money from advertising that they get.
They want their clicks, and don't click on them. Don't give them attention. They're idiots.
If they got clicks, if they got the same number of clicks for writing, or even like if they got more clicks, like just a 10% more clicks for writing kind of positive and inclusive stuff, that's what they would do. It's just they're there where the money is. They've got absolutely no morals, and they don't care about throwing minorities and people under the bus as long as they get money. Welcome to capitalism.
Welcome to the internet.
Yeah, that's true.
Sadly.
Anyway.
Is there anything else you've been playing?
I mean, I mentioned Elden Ring. I'm still there. I've got to the capital, got a bit further past the capital, although I'm going to go back to the capital, keep saying capital, because I went to a next area and they told me that if I want the good ending, pretty much is what they said, then I need to go to the catacombs.
Good ending?
Well, yeah, it seemed like a good ending because they were like, oh, this person won't die if you go and do this in the catacombs. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do that.
And you trust what the gods tell you to do?
Yeah, of course. Why would I?
Well, I don't know about that, Ben.
Oh, don't make me... Well, maybe I won't then. No, I will. I want to do them.
Okay.
Is that where Melania is?
No.
Oh.
What I will say is that there's not... In terms of the endings of Elden Ring, I wouldn't say... They're not necessarily like good and bad. They're just different choices.
Okay.
And again, I'm not spoiling anything for you. Essentially, you are just given a choice at the end that you select, and you can do all of the game and like get to the end of the quest line for one ending, and then just choose a different one.
Yeah.
So my point being, do and see anything and everything in the game. Do all the bosses. It won't harm your ending, because all you're doing is giving yourself more options for the very final choice, and that's the only choice that really matters.
Okay.
So the point being, yes, go and do everything.
I got to I went to the area after there, which was something of the gods, clouds of the gods or whatever, treetops of the gods or something.
It's the mountaintops of the giants.
Mountaintops of the giants.
But you were close.
Yeah, not the treetops of the gods, the mountaintops. Yeah, I went there.
You'll get to the treetop of a god.
It was very... It's very sparse at the moment.
Yeah, the snowy area is my least favourite.
It's definitely not Yrnir of the Lakes, is it? Or what's the opening area?
Limgrave.
Limgrave, yeah. It's definitely not Limgrave.
you've got to the point that
They got bored.
no, it's more like Elden Ring starts like super wide, super broad, go anywhere, do everything.
Mm.
But it gets to the point where they're like, oh shit, we really need to like,
Funnel you.
yeah. And so basically everybody does anything and everything until they get to the capital, to the
Mm.
bit you've done. Then you get story, and then it's now funneling you in a much more
Okay.
linear sort of way towards
I'll-
the end of the game.
Yeah, I'll go back to that once I've explored the capital a bit more. Because
Yeah.
I've been told that something in the depths of the capital I should go to. So
Mm.
I'll have a wander over there next time. But yeah, other than that, I've been playing some what have I been playing? Ghost of Tsushima. I decided that I'd like to get the platinum in that. And
And are you continuing with that?
yeah, I've started, so I'll finish. And it's really boring.
Yeah.
I'm just finding, well, I'm sure people love it. It's just very serious and quite bland. There are some missions I'm doing, because I'm doing like side missions now. At the moment I'm trying to check off all the question marks, which is just follow the fox, go and do your bamboo strikes, go and sit in a pool, go and climb the shrine. The climbing the shrines is definitely all right, but it's just like a glorified climb the tower in Far Cry.
Yeah.
But some of the side missions are a little bit interesting. Like there was one where I had to go and do a bunch of duels around the map, and they were always in really beautiful places with like an interesting backdrop, like a kind of 2D Street Fighter, but with like fanciness.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did those. I did that mission. That was quite cool. I did another one where I had to like sneak into a base. I couldn't kill or incapacitate any of the guards, but I had to go and kill these 3 people that were inside. So that was something a little bit different. I don't know. I always like to compare open worlds with something like The Witcher or Red Dead Redemption 2. And Red Dead Redemption 2, I'm like, there are missions where I get dressed up to kind of infiltrate a boat party, and then the boat's like sinking and I have to kind of escape, or I'm going into a prison to get somebody out of there. And I don't know, there's so much more of an interesting and different types of missions in those.
Creativity.
A lot more creativity, and maybe that they were kind of hampered by the money, because obviously they don't have Rockstar money, or maybe CD Projekt Red money, where some of the missions in there are just, I don't know, they're just, everybody's so like emotionless,
yeah,
and it's very serious, and this person's dying, and I don't like none of the. There are a few people who I understand like their personalities, and I've grown to like them, but a lot of them I don't. Like they don't really have any personalities. And it's a little bit they're a bit 2-dimensional.
That's what I really didn't like about Ghost of Tsushima, is that for me it was just like stereotypical Japanese samurai stuff from basically Westerners who watched a load of samurai films and then regurgitated it into what they thought was authentic, and it's not. So it's just like, oh, all samurai must be quiet and stoic, and then like they mustn't show emotions, and everything's about duty. And yes, those are important themes that you've seen in cinema and whatever else, but like, do something else.
It gets a bit boring after a while. I mean, we watched Shogun.
Yeah.
And like that is a samurai TV series, but every single character in there, obviously it's a different medium, but every character you either love, you hate,
Yeah.
you care about them, whereas I don't care about anybody in Ghost of Tsushima. And I finished it already, and I'm just like clearing it up, but I'm doing loads of the side missions.
Do you care about the foxes?
Oh yeah.
Do you care about the poems?
Thing is with the foxes, half the time they're not there to pet afterwards.
No.
So you go and do it, and sometimes they're there and they can get a pet, but sometimes they're not, and I'm like, oh. And I'd also find as well, it's not as like an Assassin's Creed game. You can always get down or climb up a place easily. Whereas there, you're like, oh, I've got to go all the way around here just to go down. Like sometimes I just throw myself off a cliff if I've got a thing, and then it's like revive yourself by pressing down. So I just do that. So I literally kill myself to avoid going really long way around hills, and then just revive myself. So yeah, I still really, really pretty. I'm still taking screenshots because I can't stop myself. And I'm probably about 10 hours away from the platinum, so I'm sure I'll do it. I've also heard that the DLC is really good.
Yeah, it's quite good. Yeah.
How long is the DLC?
Not long.
So I'll probably get the platinum and then go and maybe
I mean,
just.
it's a new region to explore.
That's why I don't. I want to get the platinum first because I'm quite a one-track mind person. I need to do that, and then I might go and see what the platinum's like. I'll go and see what the DLC's like. But I've got a feeling I'll just be like, no, I don't want to play any more of that game.
Yeah, understandable.
But also, there's some cool games coming out. When's the Star Wars game out? Is that August?
That's August.
See, I think when that comes out, that will be my like off-stream game because it's not something to really like do a let's play of. Really, I mean, I might start it on stream, but I'm gonna be just goofing around, like open world, and go and playing that in my own free time.
There's that. There's later this month. There's Dungeons of Hinterberg, which I'm really excited to play.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of debating whether to do it on stream, but I think maybe I will just enjoy it.
Yeah. 1st of August. Thank goodness you're here. Got an 8 out of 10 in Edge, so brilliant.
Must be good.
It's also coming out on Steam, on Switch.
Indeed.
They announced. But yeah. So other than that, there's nothing really. Have I even been playing any mobile games? I don't think I've done any of that. No, to be honest, actually, when we talk about Elden Ring, I did play some Elden Ring on with my heart rate monitor, which I've just remembered is still on.
Oh,
So I need to turn that off. But it very rarely goes up. It's weird because it's one of those. It's strange because I'm playing Elden Ring, and my heart rate just goes down because I'm
it's
finding
a very relaxing game.
it is very relaxing.
It's relaxing.
And
it's
you,
easy.
You were talking earlier about how Stellar Blade, like it's more difficult and stuff. I tried to go back to Stellar Blade because I just wanted to kill something and I didn't want to kind of go into Elden Ring. Although I did start a second playthrough in Elden Ring just because I was desperate to play some more of it and I didn't want to ruin my Let's Play. But before that, I did play a bit of Stellar Blade and I can't be arsed with all the different buttons. Like it's just, oh, you've got these moves that does this move that does this, and there's like loads of special abilities. Whereas what I love about Elden Ring is it's strong attack, light attack, and then shield if you have one, and then like your shield art, and that's the only like special thing that you have is your L2 button.
Your Ash of War.
Your Ash of War. That's the only thing you need that isn't kind of hit or defend or roll.
That's kind of the cool thing about it is that actually it's, I don't want to say it's shallow because it's not, but it's just you have
Simple.
minimal sort of input options, but you have huge breadth in terms of all the different weapon types and stuff that you use because all of their moves are slightly different.
I about to say every enemy is a completely different enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more about different enemies testing your small number of moves. Whereas then something like Stellar Blade is, you don't have your classes in your builds. So they have to add complexity by adding more and more moves on top of what you do.
Yeah.
And then it's a case of like the final couple of bosses, it's like, right, there's a blue attack, there's an orange attack, this one's a red. So some you dodge, some you go forward, some you go back, some you can attack. Like,
so you stop playing for a week and you can't play it again.
Yeah, and I got back into it, but yeah, it's all about just learning the rhythm of that. And it becomes almost like a rhythm game, which sometimes can be fun, but sometimes is not.
Yeah, I love the enemy types in Elden Ring. Like you can be fighting a giant tree thing that's shooting arrows at you, or a giant ball bearing that's trying to crush you, or there's a beetle that's rolling around something that suddenly becomes massive. And every enemy is weird and different.
I can't wait for you to play Bloodborne.
Is it like that?
It's just brilliant.
Wow.
Let's find out what other people have been playing. We've got a couple to go through. We start with Capped, who says, Dawntrail. It feels really good to start a brand new story in the world Yoshi P has built for us. I'm still fairly new in the MSQ, but Pictomancer is amazing, in caps, and feels so nice to play. The only downside I can see so far is it's a wee bit slow-paced, but I'm guessing that's to be expected when you are building an entirely new storyline off the back of a 10-year story.
Yeah, think of it as the start of A Realm Reborn, as the start of 2.0 rather than the start of a new expansion. I think is the best, is what I'm doing now. And I'm enjoying it, but I'm not going to, I've just not dived into it for ages. I've just played it a little bit at a time.
Yeah, fair. Brenda has been playing a few things. I've been playing a lot of Stardew Valley on PC because of the 1.6 update, which I'm sure you've spoken a lot about already, but I just want to say that it's so good. There's so much new shit, and I keep finding new things and getting happy. I'm so glad I didn't get spoiled anything. Absolute 10 out of 10. I also bought a new game in the summer sale, which I played the demo of last year. It's called Garden Galaxy, and it's a really chill, casual game. You start with a square made of white squares, and a LOL tutorial explains the game. I don't know why it's LOL.
Maybe a long?
might be a typo, but
Yeah.
let's just say that it's a really funny tutorial. Visitors show up and give you coins, which you can...
Maybe a Lil tutorial.
I don't know. Visitors show up and give you coins, which you can exchange to get a random tile or object. You can use these tiles and objects to build a garden, and the bigger it gets, the more stuff you get. There's grass, water, swamp, modern stuff, beach things, some animals that interact with the garden, and so much more. There's no real objective other than building a chill garden space you like looking at. The only achievements you get are from completing collections of stuff from the jar that takes coins. You can, of course, discard stuff that doesn't fit your aesthetic, and you get extra coins in return. Def recommend this to people who are looking for a chill little game, just want to sit down a little without stress. Linny Lavy says, halfway through watching Dawntrail, because honestly, it's mostly cutscenes and talking shit about blank and thirsting over blank. They are actually blanks, and I don't want to click on them because of spoilers. The dungeons and trials are fun, though. Definitely a step up in difficulty compared to previous. Mr. Wilbur says, I played TwitchCon.
Played with TwitchCon, I'm sure.
Yeah, I bet you did, Mr. Wilbur. I feel like we had a few more if I scroll through.
I think there was somebody that answered a day later too. I did suggest people answer it today, but I don't think they did.
Riley said, I restarted my Animal Crossing island once again. Forgot how boring it is right at the beginning. Which surprised me because I love the beginning. I love how structured it is. I got bored by the end.
Well, it depends if you... Yeah, no, it is. I quite like it, but you have to do it every day at the start, which I was fine when I was streaming it every day, and I was all that. But if you like go and do it once every few days, then it can be a bit slow, I imagine.
I have been really tempted to start again.
You should do. You've still got your X's stuff on it.
I also started my annual summer playthrough of Mystic Quest on the Super Nintendo. It's a game I played when I was a kid, and while it's got very simple mechanics, it also has a good story and an awesome soundtrack. It's just fun for me. Gemma, here we go. I've started playing World of Warcraft again because I'm committed to always playing the wrong MMO.
I know, Gemma.
As we were just saying, like, come to Final Fantasy. It's been really interesting to come back to it and see all the changes and see everything that hasn't changed. I still really enjoy it, but starting over entirely in a new region is tough. All my NA stuff and characters stay in NA and can't be moved, so I'm starting from zero on Europe. A big part of the game for me is nostalgia, as I've been playing the Warcraft franchise for at least 25 years, so leaving lots of things in another region is tough. But I'm excited to play again, and it's a nice, cozy game for me. My ideal day is just grinding for materials and solo questing. There we go.
Brilliant. Right, what has been happening in the news?
So, it's been a slow couple of weeks, which is nice because then things chill out. We had Summer Game Fest. We talked all about that and all the showcases. So now things are basically a little quieter for July. And then August will be Gamescom, which is going to be the next round of announcements.
Yeah.
So,
which we're going to.
We are going to. So July is a little quieter, which is nice. Gives people a chance to actually play some games. And also Elden Ring came out, so everyone's just, not wanting to release news or any new games. However, there was some news from Xbox about Game Pass.
Yeah, I saw that someone said that Modern Warfare 3 might be coming to it.
Well, there's that. So what they've done is they've increased the price. And they're adding in a new tier. So essentially what they're doing is they are upping the price of Game Pass Ultimate, which at the moment is like the best version, which I think is like $19.99 now, or I think it's like 14 or 15 pounds, something like that. And that gives you like everything, but it's more expensive. Now underneath that, they're adding in a new tier called Game Pass Standard, I think.
Yeah.
Which is like 12 quid or $15. And that basically gives you access to the Game Pass library, but not day one games. Also, it doesn't give you cloud gaming, and it doesn't give you access to like EA Play and some other stuff. But that day one thing is a major thing, because the big draw of Game Pass that Microsoft have always said is our games, exclusive games, come out day one. So if you want Halo, if you want Starfield, you want Indiana Jones, etc., they are out day one on Game Pass. But now only if you have Game Pass Ultimate.
Yeah, so it sounds like they've got like, here's the Ultimate, here's the big subscription thing that we've got. Also, we've got a subscription for our like some old back catalogue games.
Yeah, it's kind of splitting that. And the thing is that PS Plus has multiple different tiers, which give you different things. And the nice thing about Game Pass originally was it's just buy Game Pass and you get everything.
Yeah.
And now it's split into multiple tiers that give you different things. It's become a bit more complicated. It's sort of them backing out a bit on the day one thing for everyone. Ultimately, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to push more and more people to Ultimate.
But like, why don't they just only have Ultimate?
Because
I think it's a price that people would actually cancel.
Well, because maybe they don't, and I think a lot of people who are on the current tier that isn't Ultimate might end up being put down to Standard and forced to pay more to move up to Ultimate. Ultimately, what Microsoft need to do is they need to make more money out of the people already on Game Pass. Because the only way Game Pass works is for like everybody to have subscribed. Because obviously I don't want to say they're making a loss on games, but obviously it's cheaper to pay for your subscription than it is to just buy a game outright. So the idea is that if everybody is on a subscription, they make a lot more money overall than just people buying individual games. But it requires like almost the entire Xbox user base to be signed up to Game Pass. And I think they've basically plateaued and reached a point where most people are that will be, and it's quite difficult to get more people on it. So the only way they can expand is to up the price. So that's the main reason for that. The other interesting thing is that they still have PC Game Pass as a separate thing, and that is cheaper. I think it's only £10, but that does include day one games on PC. And so that's the other thing is I feel like they've plateaued in terms of console users, but they still need to find a way of expanding. So I think now what they're really doing is targeting PC gamers who are out here, you know, with huge Steam libraries of cheap games, and having PC Game Pass as day one games, but for a really good price, is going to try and get more PC gamers to subscribe. And that's therefore their way of expanding Game Pass.
I do wonder what like the new indies, like those ones are going to come out on, if they're going to come out on both of them.
Well, that's the thing. I think these day one games are the Xbox ones,
exclusive.
whereas like something like Dungeons of Hinterberg
will be on
it
both.
will be out. Yeah, it will be out on everything because that's just added to the library because it's a new release, but it's not an Xbox day one game. I think
it's like so you know Christopher Dring.
Chris String, yeah.
He said, in a world where gamers are playing fewer, bigger online games like Fortnite and playing fewer and bigger online games like Fortnite and Roblox, a service that encourages people to experience a variety of different titles might just be a good thing. And that was quote tweeted by Thomas Sala, who is the Falconeer dev. He's the one that gave me the showcase of his latest game, which was Bulwark. And he said, like, I can attest personally that people on Game Pass actually do try out small indie games to the tune of staggering numbers. On top of that, more platforms with more diverse business models, with more diverse deal types, actually makes for more opportunities for indie devs, not less or fewer. So I thought that was quite an interesting insight.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that, like, whatever happens, they want to be on it.
That's the thing.
You see some people saying, like, it's done terribly, and then you see some people like him that's like, oh, no, Game Pass is
I mean, everyone's got a take, of course.
Yeah.
But I think for the vast majority of people, the draw of Game Pass is, oh, if I pay for this subscription that's only in inverted commas like £15 a month, but then I get to play the big new releases like Starfield or whatever else, and I can play them as part of this existing subscription. It's like you're getting a game for free in a way. It sort of feels like that. So that's the big draw for people. But then once you get into the library, you realize, oh, wait, there are loads of really interesting smaller games that maybe you wouldn't play. But because you get instant access, you're like, oh, I'll give that a go. I'll give that a go.
That's like
and
you went in there and just
out.
downloaded a million different games on the
I did.
Xbox.
But that's for me, the best games I've played on Xbox are things like Tunic or Citizen Sleeper. Jusant. Like those kind of indie games
Citizen
that
Sleeper.
are really well done.
Yeah.
And it's the sort of game that's a bit different that I think, would I have paid 20 quid to pay it, to play it? Maybe not. But because it's part of a subscription I already have, I'll happily play it. And then, holy shit, this game's amazing. And now, yes, I will happily buy the sequel to that.
Oh, yeah, Citizen Sleeper 2 is now going to be a day one purchase.
Absolutely.
For me, and we've already got the vinyl of the original.
And that's much more of a draw to me than Starfield that ended up falling flat and being a bit shit. So for me, the whole Game Pass Ultimate thing, I'm happy to pay for the cheap version, get access to the indie games, and I'm not bothered about Starfield and
See, I want the
Halo
ultimate.
and Doom
I'll
and
get
whatever.
I'll
Like,
get the
I
ultimate.
just don't care about them
Because I
that
think
much.
ultimate you get on PC as well, don't you? It's still across all of them.
Mm,
Yeah, you're not having to pay a separate one with the update, with the
no.
increase. No, it's still all included in the £15 a month, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean that's still fine for me.
Yeah.
I thought it was £15 anyway. I didn't realize it wasn't.
There you go.
Oh well. So that's Game Pass.
That is Game Pass. And there's one other bit of news, which I know you're going to be very excited about, which came today, which is that we have now had the official announcement of Planet Coaster 2.
Very, very excited. You know how much I love Planet Coaster 1. Like, literally one of my first games I ever played and loved was Roller Coaster Tycoon. I used to play it in my parents' caravan. They used to literally go, like, to the nearest town to do while we were in the south of France. They used to go to Narbonne, I think it was, and go and do their shopping. And I'd beg them that I can just stay in the caravan and play Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Great.
And I did. And yeah, so I've always loved a good theme park building game. And yeah, Planet Coaster 1 was brilliant. But also in Planet Zoo, which was what they released afterwards, there were lots of like quality of life improvements that they'd made from the first one. Just something like something where it rotates things for you. So if you put a tree down, the next tree you put down will have been rotated, so it doesn't. So you can just keep clicking, and they don't look all identical. And they also do it with things like rocks, but they'll do like a 360 randomized, so you can put things down, and then you can just put down numerous rocks, but it doesn't look like it's just been copy pasted and tiled everywhere. So yeah, very very excited about this.
I also played a lot of Roller Coaster Tycoon as a kid, and it's one of the few games that my mum actually would watch and sort of approve of,
My
probably
parents as
because it was
well.
management, so
Yeah.
it felt vaguely educational.
Yeah.
And she knew how much I like going to the theme park, so it was kind of fun to make them. Yeah, I didn't realize the first Planet Coaster came out in 2016.
Okay, 8 years
I think
ago.
it was. Yeah, 2016, which I don't know. Like, I feel like Planet Coaster's been around for ages, but also that seems like a long time ago, and I didn't realize
And
it's been that long since the first game.
Yeah, and they've had a lot of DLC since, so they've been adding all sorts.
True.
With quite a few like branded DLC as well. I wonder what they would do with this next one, but yeah, it's with a water park. With water
so
rides.
water parks is the big new thing that they're adding, which seems like something that fans have wanted anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can add in what was it they
Slides?
talked about? Lazy rivers, flumes, wave pools, water coasters. But also then you're going to need changing rooms and sunbeds and lifeguards.
Cannot wait to see what people do with that, because
Yeah.
you see the amazing stuff that people have done with the original. Like I saw someone. I went on. I was on the blueprints. What's it called? You can download blueprints from Steam Workshop, and somebody had made like a full massive McDonald's, but like from assets in the game. Like they'd made the M from
Yeah.
assets in the game. I was like, I don't even know how they managed to do that, but it was very impressive. But
Wow.
I'm looking for like the more options, the more like customization stuff that they add. It's just going to be wild to see what people come up with.
Yeah. I think they haven't talked a huge amount about what will be in there. They've said things like enhanced tools and new themes and things like that. And I'm sure, as you said,
well,
you know,
Frontier do their
Planet-
monthly things, don't they? They do their monthly.
They have a
direct
monthly stream. So the
streams,
last Wednesday of every month will be the next stream.
You know better than I do.
Yeah, because I wrote a news story on it. You're welcome. It's my job. The last Wednesday of every month until release, they'll have a new stream and they'll talk more about it. So yeah, they will be releasing more. The first sort of proper gameplay thing is going to be the 31st of July is the full gameplay reveal. Excellent. So for now, we don't know too much, but they've talked about enhanced tools, enhanced building tools, new themes, new roller coaster types, but they haven't really given any specifics. So presumably, as you said, they've had Planet Zoo, they've had the Jurassic World games. Hopefully there are improvements in those that will be added to this, and then even more.
And it's coming out on
it's
console
coming
at the
out,
same time, right?
Yes. So it's coming out in the autumn or the fall on PC, Xbox Series X and S, and PS5.
Brilliant.
So yeah, that's exciting news.
Very.
Which, I still haven't played Planet Coaster, and every time it comes out on the Steam sale, like a $5, I'm like, is this the time I buy it?
Mm-hmm.
But sort of assuming, will there be a Planet Coaster 2? And now we know, I'm like, maybe I'll just wait for that and not get the cheap old one.
You do you.
Yeah. I feel like I should get the new one.
Yeah. I mean, I will be.
Yeah. And then you can explain to me how to make it.
No, you can do it yourself.
Okay.
All right. Well, that is it, I think.
Yep.
What have we got planned this week? Anything exciting? What are you going to be playing?
My plan for now is Dawntrail.
I just had an email 4
need to
minutes
get on it.
ago. Planet Coaster 2 announced.
There
You
you
go.
go. Bit late. Yeah, I need to crack on with Dawntrail. That is my thing. Partly for work, but also, like, I've never been up to date with 14. So this will be the first expansion that I'm playing that's sort of newly released with other people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll be playing it solo, but at least around the time of other people. So I'm excited to get through. I know you said you don't want to rush through the MSQ. I kind of do because I want to be up to date. And the thought then of like, oh, I'm excited about the next patch because maybe I've paused my subscription, shock horror, for like 3 months, and then I
Pay the
pay for
Square
another
Enix
month
tax. Pay the Square Enix tax.
do the next patch. I'm excited for that. So, and I want to play as a Pictomancer. So,
Okay.
picked out.
Yeah. All right.
I'm
Well, enjoy that. I'm gonna be. I'll try and get that Ghost of Tsushima Platinum. I doubt I'll. Well, maybe I'll have got
You
it
need
this
to play
time.
Elden Ring. That's your priority.
Oh, that's my streaming priority. And I'm going to hopefully do that, not tomorrow because that's community day, but Saturday and Sunday are going to be my Elden Ring streams, and I'll try and blitz through as much as possible.
I look forward to hearing about it.
And go to youtube.com/biggestbennis if you want to go and watch my playthroughs. I've already got the first like 10 episodes on there. I've got like 4 to go up at some point, and then obviously there'll be today's, Saturdays and Sundays, so there's quite a few that'll go up quite regularly once I've edited things. And then hopefully we'll get to the end of it, and then I can finish Baldur's Gate 3 and Tears of the Kingdom, because
I need you to finish Tears of the Kingdom immediately.
I think I could do that in like 15 hours, 20 hours.
If you just mainline the story, you can whip through that.
Oh, I don't want to mainland that. I want to do all the shrines.
Okay, good luck.
I'm on like 40,
Good luck.
and I've done all the 4 divine beasts.
Good luck.
Okay, fine. Right, well, where can we find you, Ed?
You can find me at ed_nights, basically everywhere. But yeah, come watch me on Twitch. I've nearly finished Dark Souls 1.
Ooh. And I'm Biggest Bennis, Biggest Bennis1 on Twitter, and just, find me on Twitch and YouTube at Biggest Bennis. And, and go and join the Discord, discord.gg, that's discord.gg/Biggest Bennis. If you just go and type that in, you can join, and we've got a Swapping Joysticks channel, so you can talk about things there. Let us know what you think. If you hate us, give us some comments or whatever.
No, don't do that.
Do it. And we'll see you next. Go to swappingjoysticks.com if you want to make sure that you subscribe, or if you want to see what our links are for any other podcasting player or our YouTube channel. And I'll see you all. Well, we will see you all next week. And we're back regularly. Every Friday we go up.
Yes.
Have a good one.
Always.
Bye.
See you then. Mate.